What's going on, ambitious vet? Thanks for diving inside the trenches with us again this week as we seek to provide you the golden grenades you need to get yourself out of your own way and fuel your desire to make an impact post-military. This is your podcast built by veterans for veterans. As we dive into the trenches with today's top subject matter experts, share inspiring transition stories, and provide masterclasses to equip you to reach your full potential. Bottom line is, this is your place to go after immediate transition education expires.
For me, the next 5 steps were, how do I see the growth of an operations manager for a security company, and what would I achieve? And then what do I see for within human resources? And, obviously you don't go to human resources because you want to be wealthy. You have a good living, but you're not going to get rich unless you open up your own company and had your own firm. But how can I make the most impact? To me, having community engagement was critical that was my intrinsic motivator, where security, I'm sure you can do stuff, but it just didn't feel the same.
Today's show is going to be brought to you by Steezy Socks. Did you know that right now, student athletes in your neighborhood could have all the talent in the world, but lack the resources to continue to fund their skill progression in their desired sport? Kind of like you having the talents, getting out of the military, and not having financial backing to have the peace of mind to realize them. So we end up falling into entry-level security jobs or first responder positions because it's just easy. Right? I think you get the point. Steezy is a veteran-owned business based in San Antonio, Texas. They wanted to create a company that revolved around truly aiding student athletes in need while supplying the highest quality materials you've experienced in a sock. They're more than just a sock company. They created Steezy to disrupt the meaning of change. I want you to visit steezysocks.com. And Ambitious Vet, if you see anything that you like on there, make sure you use AVN Alpha Victor November for an additional 20% off all purchases. Again, also each socks sold aids a student athlete in need. So make sure you get out there, do your part, and continue to fuel missions that are way bigger than yourself.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? We are right back inside the trenches this week with Scott Haas. Scott is a Marine Corps infantry veteran, and he's also head of talent acquisition at BGIS for the United States. One of Scott's many proud accomplishments with the team is taking the organization post-acquisition from 18% to over 30% veteran and spouses inside of BGIS's workforce throughout the U.S. Since joining BGIS, the company has made GI Jobs magazine list of military-friendly employers for 2017 and 2018, and received the gold medallion from the U.S. Department of Labor Hire Vets program from the Secretary of Labor in 2018 and 2019. And we were just talking offline, Ambitious Vet, that I think he was just featured in GI Jobs, one of the most military-friendly organizations. It's because of his hard work, and we're lucky to have Scott on the show. Scott, are you there?
I'm here. I'm happy to be here, and thanks for the intro.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, how do you explain all those awards just from an infantry guy perspective in the Marine Corps? How do you explain that?
It's not much different than from my mind. So I was a machine gunner. You put the range card together, and then you take the range cards and you put it together for the whole platoon. It's just that whole strategy, putting one piece together to the next part for the ultimate strategy of getting that success in being recognized. And so, I started off with finding out who the veterans are within the workforce, and then seeing if they can be a force multiplier with me, and then seeing if they can share information, and then if they can help interview candidates that have served in the military. And after a while, it just grows from there. And then you get the support of marketing and leadership. And next thing you know, someone submits an award and you're getting recognized. And so I've been that steady Eddie, if you will, of continuously marching forward and getting award after award. I don't want to sound cocky. That's not me. It's just want to make sure that people know that this is what the organization's about, what we're bringing.
Yeah. Yeah. Spoken like a true Marine. We don't want to be cocky, but hell, we kick down doors, we win wars, and we get meritorious promoted. And it just sounds like you've done a great job coming in, laying down the foundation for things to kind of be built from. And I love the idea of just force multiplier. That's a great opportunity to figure out, hey, ambitious vet, what kind of firepower do you have around you to create that force multiplier effect to kind of get results quicker, more effectively, and efficiently. So I love that idea. So Scott, man, you were an infantry Marine, as we already discussed. You did what all Marines do, right? You get out and you went into security because pretty much TAPS and TAMs, that's pretty much what they tell you. They have police officers, security guards in front of you, and all that good stuff. So it's easy to fall into it, right? For financial stability. But you've also been able to use that as like a great stepping stone to kind of get to where you are today, winning all this notoriety and just making a huge impact and head of talent acquisition for this big company. And I'd love to just kind of hear your story from an infantry Marine to now leveraging some of the core principles that you've established to finding more fulfillment and a bigger lucrative career post-military.
Sure. So got out of the Marine Corps, got into executive protection, got into private security, and realized it's like I really don't want. It was like glorified Firewatch, albeit I got paid more. I like, is this a long-term solution? And I realized I don't really want to do this anymore. No offense to anyone that does it, and good on you. If you want to be a cop, God bless you. I don't want to do that anymore. I always felt like when I was a squad leader, section leader for the machine gunners, it was like I could see and elevate and plan several steps ahead. So it's like, I want to be in operations. I want to be in some type of ability where I can have influence and impact. And lo and behold, at that company, the HR manager was a fellow Marine, and he was an air winger. And I at that point, I had moved myself into operations management. And I was like, I don't want to do a career in security. I want to do something that gives me broader perspective and reach into multiple industries. And so I got into human resources, but I did it by accident. It wasn't by design. People are always like, oh, how'd you get in HR? It's just luck of the draw, timing, maybe the higher power, whatever. And so I got in there, but then I realized I enjoyed recruiting. I enjoyed training and development, and really kind of dabbled with that. And then, gosh, you flash forward a few years and the war had been going on, but we also saw the high unemployment rate for veterans, and kept watching it in the news. And I've always been one, like, if you see something and you complain about it, you're still part of the problem. So it's like, how can I get myself involved in that situation? And so lo and behold, I go to a thing called Marine for Life here in Seattle, and I meet some of the most amazing people who then in turn tell me about this organization that's since been folded, but it's called Hire America's Heroes. And there's this board of all these big companies in the Seattle area. And I'm talking the big name players.
Big companies,
and they invited me to it. And I was the only enlisted guy, only junior enlisted guy that showed up there. I mean, everyone else is like senior enlisted and brass. And I'm like, am I in the right spot?
Right.
Like, I'm still a knuckle dragger. And I voiced my opinion as an enlisted guy, and it was heard and it resonated, and it just kept carrying from there. And they're like, well, since you're throwing your opinions here, how about you come join over here? And it went from there. And I've did that with a company called ThyssenKrupp Aerospace, and I did it for a cybersecurity firm, and to where I'm at now. Each time I would talk about it, it would just open up new opportunities. But the force multiplier is the biggest thing that I've leveraged to work to my advantage, because I know I can't do it all, but if I rally up enough people, they can help me leverage what I want.
Yeah, no, great, great. And I'm putting myself in your shoes with doing that program and around all the brass, right? Because they have a degree under their belt, right? They have, they've done a lot of potential more administration work than us knuckle draggers, listed guys side of the house, give or take, right? Because some people will be enlisted commanders of platoons and stuff like that to kind of be the pencil pushers. But man, I mean, that's great that you kind of stepped up to the plate and to start communicating and creating opportunity. I mean, if you were to go back in that moment, like what would be like something in that moment that like you said, or like, cause like I can only imagine, man, like me going back to an E4, going through transition programs, I wouldn't have the confidence to be around brass. I would still kind of have that inferiority complex. I'll be completely honest with you. Yeah, I mean, oh shit, yes sir, no sir, I'm not out of the uniform yet. Don't want to get ninja punched. How do you stand your guard, man, around all those, officers and create opportunity as a knuckle dragger enlisted dude?
I think post Marine Corps, I went to college, got the degree, and then I held a series of leadership roles. I almost said billets, leadership roles, and I felt like I had talked to enough C-suite executives and even pushed back with them on things where I've had some leaders in the past where they want to yes people, and I don't subscribe to that. It's like, and so I'm willing to push back. And in fact, I even had leaders in the Marine Corps that didn't want people to just say yes. They wanted to know how you would approach something before you did. It's like, do we breach the door or do we breach the wall? And so that definitely helped out. And it was intimidating going in there, knowing like the guy that ran Hire America's Heroes, he was a 1-star. And then there's all these other, officers from the Navy and Coast Guard and Air Force and Army, because that's what's predominant here in Washington State. And what was nice is the gal that was the executive director, she just introduced me as Scott. And then I was able to talk about how I was a Marine Corps veteran. So that was nice, where it wasn't, this is Corporal Haas, as it started off as Scott, it's like I felt like I didn't have to defend the rank or who I was or what I brought to the table. So I think that's also important too. There was even one point where there was a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps who kept referring to me as corporal. I said, you got to pump the brakes there. My name's Scott, or Mr. Haas to you. And when I did that, everyone was like, oh, okay. And it's like, pick one. But I am not corporal anymore. Haven't been corporal for a long time now. And it was like, get over the whole ego thing. It's like, he didn't like me calling him by his first name.
Yeah.
That's his problem, not mine.
I think there's a saying, right, where you're in the military and the ones that are supposed to get out, stay in. The ones that get out are supposed to stay in, right? And so many leaders in the military, I mean, just from the enlisted side, hide behind that rank. And good for you to kind of separate that when you were getting out, as you were looking to create opportunity. Because I think not all of us can do it that quickly as we're looking to build opportunity. So one thing that we were talking about in our pre-interview, Scott, was having this philosophy towards every opportunity, as far as from a career standpoint that you were rolling into, right? There's a couple core philosophies that I liked, and I would love for you to kind of share them. One, starting from, what are the next 5 steps from where I am now, right? And how, that sounds good. Us ambitious vets can get out. We have big goals, ambitions, stuff like that. But like, really, where does the rubber hit the road with that? And be like, really thinking through that. And how did you leverage that?
Yeah. So for me, the next 5 steps were, how do I see the growth of an operations manager for a security company? And what would I achieve? And then what do I see for within human resources? And, obviously you don't go to human resources because you want to be wealthy. You have a good living, but you're not going to get rich unless you open up your own company and had your own firm. But how can I make the most impact? To me, having community engagement was critical that was my intrinsic motivator, where security, I'm sure you can do stuff, but it just didn't feel the same. And I wasn't quite sure, like, if you told me when I was embarking on my career where I'd be at now, I probably would laugh at you, because I wouldn't have been able to envision that part. But I just knew that I wanted to be a part of a community engagement in some capacity. But those 5 steps is like, how do I need to get there? What do I need to achieve? And so it was education, or it was career projects that I needed to give me the credence to say I have that experience. So I would look to volunteer or ask questions to seek to understand what I needed. And constantly, I'm sure I annoyed some leaders that I served with or worked with by asking them 1,000,001 questions, just to understand, like, how'd you get here? What'd you do here? Why'd you do that way? Can you do it this way? And they're like, yeah. And so it helped me move along. And the other part is I've always gone a little bit more on what others are willing to do. Like, I'll participate in out of work activities for HR, SHRM, Society of Human Resources Management. They have these chapters in every area across the country, and I'll go participate in it, 1 or 2 of them, a month, and just to seek to understand, learn more knowledge, networking is a key component for success. A lot of the jobs I've gained over the years is through knowing someone that knows someone, not applying to a job board amongst the 1,000 other people. So
No, I love that. Career projects and knowing what the next milestone is. I wrote that down even for myself in my current position of growing and scaling a startup. And Ambitious Vet, as you're listening to this show, think about what is that next career milestone. And if you feel like you don't have the skills or the human capital to fulfill on that, be thinking about, hey, what questions can I ask? I mean, I wrote here on the piece of paper, one thing to complement what Scott said is finding out who can you speculate with, right? Some of the best thinking happens when you're in a diverse setting, where you're around groups of people just asking the right questions. And that's where ideas are breeded from. So really, don't be getting out of the uniform like a lot of us military guys do and gals, and just be, waiting for someone to tell you what to do. Ask the questions, right? Ask the questions, challenge assertions and assumptions, and establish your leadership post-military. Scott, I want to kind of pivot to the second philosophy, if you don't mind, man. And, you were just talking about this other one around how does this conversation impact 5 more people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's awesome. I think about that. I'm just like, man, I'm never going on my everyday life and thinking, hey, how does this conversation with my wife first thing in the morning, or, this first meeting that I have, how is this conversation going to impact 5 people through their network? Can you walk us through how you establish that philosophy and how it's like really, create opportunity for you?
Sure. I'll start here where when I was in college, there was a Vietnam vet, Air Force guy, and I will admit I was a knucklehead the first few years in college, where I should have done it in 4. I did it in 6, but I was also working full time, so that's my excuse. But it took him to say something to me and really get me focused in. And so all he says, all I want from you is to pay it forward. And so I threw that in the back of my mind, and it's like, okay, as soon as I have the opportunity, I'll pay it forward for somebody. And then it was like the fulfillment I got out of that. I was like, oh, wow, that was really empowering. It sounds cheesy, but it's like I felt empowered. Like I want to do that again. And it happened again. And then I realized, like, the net impact it had was the people I started helping, it reverberated from them to someone else. And then I was able to, someone come back, hey, because of you, I did this. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Yeah. Now I feel even more emboldened to do this again. And I still get that to this day. And I've been doing it for, I think I told you 10 years. It's actually 12.
Wow. Okay.
So, I can only imagine the net impact it's been. And I do mentoring for an organization called Veterati. And I've only been doing that for the last 2-3 years. And that one, it shows me how many people I've actually impacted versus over the 12 years. I couldn't tell you how many. It's definitely, it has to be in the hundreds. I wouldn't say thousands, but it's a lot of folks. And just giving them subtle things to understand, or how to go about a job search, how to go about putting a resume together, how to go about putting your pitch together. Networking seems to be a tough thing for a lot of veterans. For me, I'm always trying to seek to understand. So if you're the subject matter expert, I'm coming after you to talk to you. And if you don't want to talk, I'll find someone else to. It's like, you can't let your ego or pride get in the way. Just get out there, ask questions. And if the person's a jerk, then move on. There's plenty of other people that are willing to talk to you.
Where did you learn how to get the ego and pride out of the way?
I don't know. I think that might have been an inherent skill I already had.
Fair.
But I also think, in recruiting, you get lots of rejections. So it's just like you sell a company, sell an opportunity, and you get rejected, and that's a blow to the ego. But at the same time, you can't just hang on that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the next job closed and filled. And not everyone's meant for the organization. So I guess it's kind of like when you're young, you're dating, you get rejected all the time. It's like you just gotta keep trucking. You can't just stop there and complain.
Oh my gosh, it's crushing when you're going through that immediate rejection, isn't it?
Like, oh man, just pick up your gear, move on to the next hill.
Yeah,
and, maybe you'll conquer that objective. But to me, it's just, you just can't stop. Like, oh, I got rejected by 20 people. Yeah, I get it. Where I got now, I tell the people I mentor, I failed along the way. It's not like I was successful the whole way. I failed, got, beat down. Okay, laying on the ground, what do? You can just stay there and cry, or you're going to get up and do something about it. It's like, dust yourself off. Okay, take a moment, look in the mirror. What lessons did I learn? Don't do these things. Focus on these things. And, it's like almost writing that pro and con list and figuring it out. Like, okay, I'm going to do this going forward, and maybe I should go talk to somebody to help guide me on these other objectives, knowing the peripheral stuff over here to the left is what got you beat down. And it's just over time, it's like you build that resilience to it, and you have to be able to bounce back. And what you did in the military is not always going to translate what you did over to the civilian side, but what you've experienced in the military certainly will translate over. The last minute things. I remember getting ready to go to the tarmac to deploy, and we just sit there for 8 hours waiting for the plane, waiting for
hurry up and wait, baby.
Hurry up and wait. It's like, okay. It's like you got to be able to be flexible, and semper gumby. So
that's so good. That's so good, man, because I think a lot of us, including myself, can get so caught up and attached to the outcome. You know what I mean, man? And we just get impatient, emotionally attached to it. So being flexible, I really loved seeking to understand, right? I think if we just set that intention on a daily basis, Ambitious Vet, our life would be a hell of a lot more collaborative, and we wouldn't be so isolated in our everyday life. So that's a golden grenade in itself. Plenty of golden grenades here, Scott. So I appreciate that. But I want to kind of transition into the last segment of the show, which is the last golden grenade, man. I mean, you've already been a golden grenade launcher, spitting them all out and, winning some battles throughout this episode, I guess you could say. But I mean, there is an Ambitious Vet, man, that's outside of the military. It's been out for at least 3 years, has the basics of like career readiness, healthcare, understanding of benefits, but they're just lacking that like fulfillment, I guess you would say, satisfaction, or that clarity of what they really want post-military. What would you give as far as a last wisdom bomb for that Ambitious Vet? And then we'll give them a call to action to go learn more about you.
Sure. And this is not meant to be a complete plug on me, but I really believe having a mentor will be imperative. They're free. You can go to Veterati, you can go to ACP. I'm sure there's a bunch of other places. ACP is American Corporate Partners. You can go get a free mentor. And if you don't like the one mentor, find another one within that same organization. Find the one that fits you, who can really guide you. I give constructive criticism. I give evaluation based off what I see, but having that mentor is paramount. That Air Force veteran from while I was in college, he was a mentor. And I've had other mentors since, both military and civilian. And I think it's good to have multiple mentors to get the diversification, understanding of different perspectives. You may not like everything they have to say, but just take it in, digest it. And if you still don't like it after you've thought about it, that's fine. But just look at that as people getting insight on you and helping you get to your next goal and objective. I wish I took more advantage of that in the beginning of my career. But like I said, I had to go through some trials and failures through that process. But it's something I wholeheartedly share with everyone. Find a mentor.
Yeah.
As you're transitioning out, and even if you've been out for a few years, constantly look to do that. I plan on using mentoring until I get to close to retirement. And then for me, seeking mentors.
Yeah.
I'll always be
Still seeking mentors. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it never stops. Never stops. And brother, I just want to acknowledge you before you tell this ambitious vet where to go, is just being the one that's willing to kick down the big doors that some other veterans may be afraid to step into, man. I think that's what I've gotten throughout this episode, is like walking into a room where most, officers are in as a infantry corporal, E4, walking in there and be like, hey man, look, my name is Scott now. I am corporal, and show me where I need to be creating opportunity, but also adding value to your organization. Like just kicking down the right doors and bigger rooms that may be intimidating. Thanks for being that and sharing those golden grenades in this show.
Absolutely.
So where can an ambitious vet go learn more about you and all of your recruiting efforts at BGIS? Absolutely.
You can find me on LinkedIn, Scott Haas, Haas. And if you go to Veterati, you can find me there as well. If you're interested in a career in critical infrastructure, data centers, facility management, data science, electrical, HVAC, lighting, even workplace environments, bgis.com. Go to the US side. We are growing. We have 56 new openings I was just informed of just before this call.
Wow.
And there's another 60 openings coming that we're going to be working on, and it's just nonstop. We can't hire enough, and it's veterans and military spouses. There's no exclusion there, and it's a great opportunity. And even my own team, there's veterans or military spouses amongst them. So it's something I don't just talk about. I believe in and serve to be as a role model for the rest of the organization.
Yeah, no, that's great. Ambitious Vet, make sure you go and look at those opportunities, or if you know anybody that's looking to get into those opportunities, that are building their human capital, getting their certs, have the education, or just looking to learn more about that industry. It's a big time lucrative industry with a lot of room for growth. And that's where the world's going, is data science. So make sure you go out, share all that information, and continue to fuel Scott Haas's mission to making sure that BGIS is being continued to be one of the top military friendly organizations out there, hiring you and your spouses. Scott, thanks so much for joining the show, man. Definitely learned a lot, and thanks for joining.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Semper Fi.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Today's show is going to be brought to you by Steezy Socks. Did you know that right now student athletes in your neighborhood could have all the talent in the world, but lack the resources to continue to fund their skill progression in their desired sport? It's kind of like you having the talents, getting out of the military and not having financial backing to have the peace of mind to realize, those talents, because you get pushed into entry-level security or first responder positions to just make life easier, don't you? I know I did. But Steezy here, this is a veteran-owned business based in San Antonio, Texas. They wanted to create a company that revolved around truly aiding student athletes in need while supplying the highest quality materials you've experienced in any sock. They're more than just a sock company. They created Steezy to disrupt the meaning of change. I want you to go visit SteezySocks.com and use code AVN, Alpha Victor November, for an additional 20% off all purchases. Cool thing is, each sock sold aids a student athlete in need. Ambitious Vet, can't stress about it enough. Continue to go and fuel other ambitious vets' missions and watch how the world comes back and reciprocates your value add. Take care.